Welcome to the Author's Edge radio show with Guy L. Freer. Each week on their show, they help authors create books that transform our lives and imaginations. Through radio excellence, they create a unique community resource, one that promotes, connects, and fosters a sense of well-being. They serve listeners by providing outlets for their creative skills and energies, and they help them flourish in the competitive marketplace. Their weekly show provides intros, writing spotlights, helps you in promoting your book, your writing, your publishing, your marketing tidbits, and much more. Okay, audience, here's the Author's Edge radio show with Guy L. Freer.
And we're back. Welcome to Author's Edge radio show, and welcome to Season 8. I cannot believe we are at Season 8, and this is show 89.
Congratulations.
Yes. Yippee! I cannot believe this. I'm your host, Guy L. Freer, and I'm so excited to kick off another season of thoughtful, lively conversations with writers, publishers, songwriters, illustrators, and artists as we dive deep into the art of storytelling. You can catch us live every Saturday at 8 a.m. and Sunday at 7 a.m. on KWRH FM 929 and KXOK FM 1029, or stream online at kwrh.com and kxok.com, and on the free apps of iHeartRadio, Odyssey, and TuneIn. Author's Edge also airs nationwide Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. on the My Genre Radio Network. Missed an episode? You can find us anytime on SoundCloud, YouTube, or at authorsedge.org. Now, that's authorsedge.org. And today we have a lively group of four.
It's a plethora.
It's a plethora of writers and publishers on today, this crispy, bright February day, to talk about an anthology. Now, it's called Tales of the 314, Gateway Moments and First Impressions. The 314 is... I know this area code.
Yes, 314.
314 of St. Louis. Now, did you know that it used to reach all the way down to Poplar Bluff?
I did not.
Yes, back in the day, right? Way before me. I'm not that old. Every city carries its stories in pockets, porches, classrooms, and quiet moments. And today's book gathers those St. Louis stories into one unforgettable chorus. So as we dive into today's conversation, I want to take just a moment to introduce the book at the heart of this episode. Tales of the 314, Gateway Moments and First Impressions is an anthology from the St. Louis Publishers Association under the leadership of Jolena Johnson. In the 30-year history of the St. Louis Publishers Association, this is their first published book, created to support writers becoming authors and authors becoming publishers. The anthology was crafted to highlight the history, culture, and kaleidoscope of life in St. Louis. Through stories, poems, and images, these contributors explore coming of age, overcoming obstacles, and looking in the rearview mirror of life. Tales of the 314 is sure to stir feelings of nostalgia, captivate the imagination, and touch hearts and moments of reflection, a tear or two, and laughter. So I want to start with Jolena Johnson, who is the heart of the leadership of the St. Louis Publishers Association. She's also the president. She has joined the association in 2006, if I'm correct.
That's what they say.
And has volunteered as a board member for nearly 20 years. My goodness gracious. We have had Jolena on here a number of times, presenting a monthly meeting, arranging speakers, and organizing annual conferences. Jolena is deeply committed to supporting writers who aspire to become published authors and to helping them succeed in their creator endeavors. Also known as the Absolute Good Resilient Coach, Jolena is a publisher, writing coach, ghostwriter, and facilitator. Through her leadership, Jolena helps individuals and organizations clarify goals, build resilience, and excellence. And I'm going to let Jolena introduce all the three writers today representing the book, Tales of the 314, gateway moments and first impressions. I'm going to let her do the introductions.
All right, thank you. I just want to say it's Tales of the 314, Gael, because it's the area code, so we don't say 314. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Every time you said it, I was cringing and they were watching.
Okay.
So before I introduce the authors, I do want to say that the St. Louis Publishers Association is here to support authors and people who want to become self-published. And so we, as an organization, do that by providing programming every month. On the second Wednesday of the month, and we bring in speakers and book professionals to support them in doing that. Okay. And so when we came upon our 30th anniversary, which is this year, we decided to do an anthology. So our jobs or our function is not to do a book, it's to help people have their own books. So that's why this was so unique. We wanted to do something that would help us to celebrate this. Okay.
Excellent.
Yes. So we brought together 29 authors
Wonderful.
who provided stories. And so I have here Mary Pat Gilliam.
Hello.
Hello. Michael Dupong.
Hi.
And Kimberly Braxton.
Hello.
And so I thank you all so much for being here, and thank you for having us.
Oh, my pleasure. My absolute pleasure. Do you want to tell anything about our writers?
Well, I'll let them tell it because you gave a lot of stuff about me. I'm like, what is all this stuff? So true. Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I didn't call myself a heart. I don't know where that came from, but as long as I don't have a heart attack with all this work. No, this was really wonderful. We are a membership-based organization, and we made it a mandate that people obviously had to be members of the organization, and we asked them to come aboard. We gave them a number of words and different types of subjects that they could talk about, and these three are representing the book. And I think they have some very unique stories. And so we have a little fiction, just a little poetry, a few pictures, and plenty of nonfiction in the book.
Okay. What was the criteria?
It had to be about Tales of the 314. The subtitle is Gateway Moments and First Impressions. So it needed to be a story that had to do with St. Louis. So whether it was you being born here, when you arrived in St. Louis, something that was going on, or how St. Louis influenced you.
It had to,
314.
it had basically had to be nonfiction.
No.
Oh, man.
No. We did not make any. We couldn't use anything about politics. We didn't want to do politics.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to do pictures like someone did to do graphics. They could do pictures they took, but that was it. And as long as the theme was Tales of the 314, Gateway Moments and First Impressions. So I did the introduction.
Mhm.
And so, I just talked about coming to St. Louis because I was born in Des Moines, and I talked about my first little venture at 4 years old and how I met, my first best friend at 4 because I was wandering around the neighborhood, and how the neighborhood changed. I don't want to give anything away from the authors because they know their stories. So,
Right.
So some of the other stories, they talk about, when people first came and how they were young and then they've become older, or how they've had possessions and lost parents, and how they have enjoyed, sharing some of those things. So there's just a lot of content, but I asked these authors to come today because they have different types of stories. And what I love about this is a very generational book. So if someone was not familiar with St. Louis, or they weren't familiar with, what happened when I was born in the 70s, or what happened back in the 60s, or, in the 80s, then they could get an idea. So we do have 2 fiction pieces in the book, only 2. And then we do have, as I said, poetry, pictures, and also most of it is nonfiction. So it's things that came from their life.
Was there a limit on the number of words?
Yes. She wants all of it. I know it all. 1,500 words. They had up to 1,500 words, and they had up to 5 pages. So if they did poetry like Mike did, then they had a certain number of pages.
Okay. And was there a limit on the number of pictures that you were allowed?
Yes. For the people who did the pictures, they had up to 5 pages total. So basically what we did was everyone has a title. If they had a subtitle, they did that. They tell their story. And then at the end, there's a picture of them with their bio. So they got a total of 5 pages maximum in the book, each person.
Why did you think this was the right moment for this book to become about?
Because 30 years to be a nonprofit organization is amazing.
I think so.
Thank you. And 30 years of doing meaningful work, because I believe in books. As you know, I'm a book coach, and I didn't ever plan to be really on the board. I was asked a while ago, and I did not plan to be president, but it's an honor for me because so many times people struggle with, how do I tell a story? What do I do? How do I put this book together? How do I publish it? And that's what I do on a day-to-day basis. So what we decided was we wanted to prepare our writers and our potential published authors by using this book kind of as a model as well. So we did a little media training with them. We had them write their bios. We did some calls to prep them, because our book is actually being sold in the Missouri History Museum. So
Wonderful.
yes, on the retail shelf. So people can go there. They can buy them from the authors directly. So they have a chance to do direct sales, and the History Museum is selling it.
Is it also on Amazon?
No, it's exclusively at the Missouri History Museum,
Wow.
because we want people to go there.
Wow.
So it's a time. I mean, our world is changing, things are happening, and I think it's so important to be able to do things like we're doing now, which is to sit face to face and actually have conversations. And I feel like that's what people are getting from this book. They're getting a chance to see how things used to be, or other people's perspectives. I think that's what makes it unique. And some people are very seasoned writers and some people aren't, but I think they've told a wide range of good stories.
Wow.
I'm going to add to that. I think the stories are very universal. They might be our own experience, but they appeal to people. They appeal to other people's experience too.
What do you hope a first time author feels when they see themselves in print for the first time?
Excited. That's it. And I hope before they put themselves in print, they get an editor and they get somebody else to look at it, and they don't just do it all themselves. Okay.
Without a doubt.
Okay.
And without a doubt. Is this your first one, Kim?
Yes, it is. And that's exactly how I felt. Excited, ecstatic. I just felt like, oh my goodness, this is like the best thing to be able to experience all of the levels of putting a book together, meeting all the other authors. So it's just been wonderful.
How about you, Michael? Is this your first one, or?
No, it's not. I've published 4 books now. Well, 5 if you include this one.
Uh-huh.
I'm in this one. Yeah, I'm happy is another word. Excited, but happy.
Uh-huh.
If you can't be happy doing what you're doing, then what's it worth?
Yeah.
And to do this, I grew up in St. Louis. I grew up not 10 minutes from here. And to be able to participate in this and to share some of the things. And since I'm one of the old people, Jolena said that it was a range of ages. Yeah, I'm definitely one of the older people.
And Michael, although you didn't say, Michael was one of our board members for the St. Louis Publishers Association for, I don't know, about 10 years or so. And so he just got off the board. We do miss him, but we were so happy that he was willing to participate in this project.
Yes, and I was the secretary, which I don't know if I was the best choice for that. I did a good job of recapping, but in terms of organizational stuff, that weren't me.
How about you, Mary Pat?
Well,
Is this your first one?
Well, years ago, I self-published a book called The Language of Children, Therapeutic Activities for Classrooms and Groups, because I'm a social worker. But I did that without any of the knowledge from the Publishers Association. So I was able to sell it at presentations I did and stuff, but that was years ago. It was such an honor to be part of this and to be able to find out, first of all, how to do it right, and to have my story be selected. So
I want to go back. Okay. I have to do my radio identifier. You're listening to Author's Edge, and today we're hanging out with Tales of the 314. Real St. Louis stories, memories, and moments that feel like home, right here on KWRH FM 929 and KXOK FM 1029. And I'm so glad you all are here. I'd like to go and start with talking to Kimberly. And no, I think I want to start with Michael. Yeah, I want to start with Michael. Michael, you have done a poem, okay? And it's I Am No One's Brother, it seems. I just took a portion of it. I didn't take
Okay.
the whole thing. Okay, so I'm going to start again because I wanted the audience to understand what I did. I am no one's brother, it seems. Wait, I hear a good man's words inviting me to sit at the table of brotherhood and sisterhood too. And I hear a good woman's voice wishing me good morning. And I hear a symphony of nature asking me, whose brother do you want to be? Tell me about that.
that's a good thing to talk about because I said I grew up not 10 minutes from here. I grew up in the 60s. I was a young teenager when Dr. King was assassinated,
Mhm.
and when then Bobby Kennedy shortly thereafter. I obviously am a white boy, and I heard because of that all of the disparaging stuff, but not from my parents really, which made it different. And I remember the times when we went to Southeast Missouri, when 314 went all the way to Poplar Bluff, where my grandparents lived. I saw the signs in the gas stations down there, whites only. I saw these kinds of things. I heard the disparaging things. And in high school, went to Cleveland High School, and maybe there were 100 black students,
Mhm.
maybe something like that, out of over 2,000 students. And so I heard all the things, but I wondered when I would stand out there on the corner of Spring and Delore so many times when I was younger, and I saw I had heard all this, the disparaging words and comments, and I heard all the unrest and the riots that were going on in the country at that time, and what were called riots. Some were, some weren't. And I wanted to capture that in this poem. And so I address those things because, and here's the big why, because the root of all the things that I address in the book, whether it's racism, sexism, gender identity, in the poem that I wrote, it's because the base of it is all the same. We either allow ego or heart to determine our response and relationships to one another. And if we don't choose heart, ego's default, and ego is where all the ugliness comes in. And I wanted to just draw attention to that in the poem.
How does that poem fit in the anthology?
Well, because I did grow up on Spring and Delore, and I knew about all the different neighborhoods, which I mention in the poem, the different areas, locales, for the areas of Clayton and Ladue, the areas of far south side St. Louis, and the areas of downtown, deeper urban St. Louis. I grew up around all that.
What was the most meaningful part of participating in the anthology for you?
Yeah, one of the things that I really enjoyed is because I was on the board for so long, and I had always wanted, because I was a school teacher for a number of years. There you go.
English.
English, yes. And I wanted to make it practical, make our monthly meetings to have some way to get people involved. And when Jolene,
Active
the current board,
participation.
yeah, absolutely. When Jolene and the current board's like, yeah, we want to do this, I was like, oh, this is what I've been wanting to do for 10 years. And and so I was really thrilled when they came up with it. And last June, I got to help share I did a presentation, I did a workshop for our monthly meeting for SLPA. And it helped a few people actually go ahead and write some stuff that got contributed for here. So that was exciting for me too.
That's wonderful. What are some of what does it reveal in your view about the human condition with your poem?
I think I kind of touched on that in terms of we all have a desire to have relationships. Ego comes in and says, but I can't have a relationship with somebody that looks like that thinks like that dresses like that. Heart says, hey, we want to have a relationship, if we want to be brothers and sisters, we can use heart, and we can understand that at our core essence, we're all the same. If I'm spirit at my core essence, and that person is spirit at their core essence, no matter how that spirit gets dressed, no matter what color skin, no matter what gender, then we can have a relationship, and we can have one that allows us to value one another and value our differences. May I read one line?
Sure.
Or two lines? Because I just saw this as I was rereading my own poem this morning. Of all the different people, of all the different types of people that are here in St. Louis, each one brushing and depositing the rich textures of their cultures onto St. Louis, onto America. And that's what I value.
Yeah.
Is the other cultures, the the concept of understanding life, my life and theirs, and the integration of that.
How does the anthology help support the things that you're trying to?
That's a great question too, because like Mary Pat's story and Kimberly's story, the whole thing, it puts it in the context of when Mary Pat writes about getting tickets for the 1968 World Series, Cardinals versus Detroit. I was there too. I had tickets, and
And Kimberly and I were not born.
isn't that
But we-
special?
But we were probably there, weren't we? We were probably there.
But the point is that we can talk about things like you see something that's exciting like that. And yet at that time in 1968, when I was a teenager, these other things were going on that and had just occurred that were horrible things. And so it gets put into the full context of what St. Louis was going through was at the time.
Yeah.
So
Can I add? I think also because it's an anthology, people will read the book that would not normally get exposure to some of the things that we've shared. And I think that's one of the biggest things, because what we did was we launched it right at the holiday time. So many people gave them away as Christmas gifts and things like that. So we sold quite a few books. And again, we gave authors the chance to have the books and sell them as well. So they bought them at a wholesale cost and they sold them at the retail cost. So they got a chance to see what this thing is really about. Okay. And so people who may be Mary Pat's friend may not ever have read a story that I would write, and vice versa. So I think that was really one of the main
It
things.
gave a lot of exposure to a lot of different experiences.
a lot of voices.
Yes, and a lot of things that people, different audiences that would not have had those experiences and those readings because they just wouldn't have been part of their box.
Correct.
They had to be out. They had to go outside their own box. And that's really kind of fun. I like that. Let's talk to Kimberly a little bit here. Okay. I have the quote that I took from yours was, in retrospect, the great thing was working with and getting to know people who would have likely never interacted with outside of our own small high school communities. Kind of outside the box concept there.
Exactly. Yes.
How do you feel your story fits in with the overall theme of the collection, of the anthology?
Well, I feel that my story, my experience is one that everyone has had.
And your experience was what? Tell us.
My first job in St. Louis
And
as
what
a
was that?
teenager. And that was working at Jefferson National Expansion Memorial. Who knows what that is? The Gateway Arch. Yes. So it was a wonderful experience. And I think that my story I can relate my story, or many people can relate to my story as having their first job, a coming of age story.
Everybody's
has
had
that.
mine was at McDonald's.
Okay.
Mine was Ponderosa.
Mine was being a painter as summer help for my dad, the company that he worked for at the time. And one of the things that his company did was paint the Gateway Arch when it was brand new.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes. Connected. We're
There you
all-
go. You two are connected.
Yes.
That's
right.
wonderful.
Mine was a dry cleaner, so that's interesting.
So everyone has had that experience of their first job, what it was like, the nerves related to it, all the different people that you meet outside of your own little world. So, and of course, St. Louis is one of those cities where to figure out who knows who, you say, hey, what high school did you go to? And so I was with so many different high school students and we just had a blast. And there was a famous person that I met, but you'd have to read the book to find out
who they were.
Mhm.
And I'm not giving it away either. How impactful was your participation in the anthology project?
Oh, wow. This anthology project, I mean, I became a member of St. Louis Publishers Association in 2024. So as a brand new member, being exposed to all of the authors, artists, it just was an amazing experience to get that wealth of knowledge. And then also the monthly presentations on from start to finish, how you begin to write, how you stay inspired, all of those steps, it was just, my head was blown. It really was.
So, do you like writing?
I do like writing, and I've discovered writing. I never thought that I could do something like this. So this has inspired me to go further and explore some areas that I think would be of interest to people in the future.
How has being published impact your whole writing career? Your writing.
Well, with being inspired by working with other authors, I've been able to really delve into what I want to do next. And my next
And what is it?
It's going to be about relationships.
Is it going to be a fiction, nonfiction?
It will be nonfiction.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to give away
Correct.
what it is about, but I think it would be of broad interest to many people.
Is it a novel or?
No, not a novel.
No.
That's
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay,
She'll be back.
I'll be
She'll be back. Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
Kim,
Okay.
Kim, is your book coach anywhere close by?
Wouldn't you know?
What surprised you about yourself during the writing process?
What surprised me is that all of these memories that I have that came about, I was able to bring up, and it was just a reflection on what a great life thing I've had.
Mm-hmm.
And that experience was one of a kind experience. And like I mentioned, that I would have never been exposed to some of the other people I was exposed to. And then the 3 million people that come through the Arch over the summer every year, meeting those people, helping them, their excitement, taking
I've
pictures.
been up in the Arch twice.
Really?
Yes. I went up once with my husband and our kids. And then I took my mom up with a family relative that's from France, because I've got family in France, and we went up the Arch also. So I've been up the Arch twice. It's fun.
It is so much fun. And you know what? There are many people in St. Louis that have never been up.
Well,
on the Arch.
that's typical though. I
Mhm.
find that, like I grew up in New York,
Mhm.
okay, and I've been to all, because one of the things when I was growing up in New York, I would take a lot of my relatives that came from Europe, because I have a lot of family from France, and I would take them. But I've found that the people that my family in the States, they've never been anywhere in New York. They don't go to the Statue of Liberty. They don't go to the Empire State Building. They just don't. But they family from other places, they all go.
They all go. Yes.
Yes. If it's right next door to you, you don't go. But when it's far away from you, you make the trip to come.
Right. You appreciate it more.
You do.
So,
Isn't it ironic?
it is.
We are getting close to our break. So I am going to do my little spiel. Let's see. I have a spiel that I do. Let me find it. I have a little spiel. A spiel on. Hey, storytellers, authors, artists, dreamers. This one's for you. You've poured your heart into your work. Now let's get the word out. At Author's Edge, we don't just advertise. We start conversations with interviews, reviews, and behind-the-scenes stories. Your book or project finds its people. Why join us? Because readers are listening, and your story deserves to shine. Let's do it together. Call 573-714-1352 at Author's Edge, where authors and readers meet. And if you're ready to take that next step with your book, Blue Rooster Publishing is here to help. Guiding writers from dream to finished book, Blue Rooster works one-on-one with authors to create books that enlighten, connect, and endure. Stories that reflect our lives, inspire generations, and become lasting family treasures. And here's another great opportunity, especially if you're in Missouri. Consider joining the Missouri Writers Guild, a statewide network founded in 1915 that supports writers through workshops, conferences, contests, local chapters, and professional resources. Members gain access to a strong literary community and tools to grow their craft. Joining is easy. Visit MissouriWritersGuild.org and sign up online. Whether you're a seasoned author or just starting out, there's a place for you in the Guild. And we're ready for our break.
El Potro Restaurant and Market, located at 6920 Manchester Avenue, 1 block east of McCausland, offers the finest variety of Mexican and Central American groceries and goods. El Potro Restaurant serves authentic Mexican and Central American cuisine, including daily specials, not to mention the best horchata and tastiest margaritas in St. Louis. Open 7 days a week. El Potro, 6920 Manchester Avenue, 1 block east of McCausland.
Merton Services is a heating, air conditioning, and commercial refrigeration business that's been providing exceptional services in St. Louis for over 50 years, and they take pride in providing services and comfort to both residential and commercial customers. With the temperatures rising in the summer and dropping in the winter, your comfort and health can be put in jeopardy. With proper checks and maintenance, Mertens will keep your equipment in top shape. And when it's time to replace your furnace or your air conditioner, they've got you covered. With a wide range of options, Mertens has the perfect HVAC system to fit all of your needs. To find out how the good folks at Mertens Services can help you with all of your HVAC needs, contact Mertens Services at 314-845-1500. That's 314-845-1500. Mertens Services, 314-845-1500.
And we're back. And we are going to talk. The next person we are going to talk is Mary Pat. And we're going to chat with her. And the quote that I have for Mary Pat, see, some gateway moments grow larger with time, especially the ones rooted in family.
That's right.
That's
yes.
right. And the quote that I have is, Dad was our hero that night. He made sure 3 starry-eyed kids attended a World Series game. All right. So, Mary Pat, can you tell me about that?
You know what? When I think of how long ago 1968 was, and those memories can still come back, and it was
I want to
magical.
tell you that I was in the 7th grade in 1968.
I think I was
a
too.
long time ago.
That's right.
Oh, I need to again.
And
okay,
I like that Mike brought up, in the midst of the turmoil in the country, which I certainly remember as well.
Oh, I do too.
Here was this magic moment with a family.
Mhm.
And I think that's what the universal appeal is about the story, that we all can find those moments and if you're from St. Louis, the St. Louis Cardinals are certainly part of our history, and we all know about it. We remember, depending on which era you listen to the Cardinals or watch the Cardinals, we knew that, it might be out of here. It could be, it is. I mean, we knew what was going on. Yeah.
Yeah, the name of the story is We Slept at Busch Stadium. And we have some really cute pictures in here too. Oh, I love this one. Let's see, this one right here, the 3 little darlings. Can you see the 3 little darlings? Oh, I love it. I love it.
We weren't always that innocent, but at least for the portrait, we were, right? And as my sisters pointed out, they were too young to be part of this. There were more kids in the family, but they weren't allowed to go that night to sleep at the stadium, because one of the other memories was, if we wanted to do this, we had to agree to go to school the next day. And we were like, of course, we were heroes the next day in school. We were celebrities. Like, you really slept at the stadium? And oh yeah, we were puffed up and proud.
Well,
So,
of course.
yes.
Of course. What was the most meaningful part of participating in this anthology for you?
I will genuinely mean this. It was an honor. It was an honor to be among writers that were truly writers. Like, I felt like I was kind of a wannabe, and with this article get accepted, and when I found out I was ecstatic. So I really felt like I really learned from others and got to be part of the process, which was fascinating to me. I've loved writing and have for years, but to understand a whole different part of the publishing and the editing and the advertising with it and the marketing, it's been a journey, and it's been an honor.
When did you feel like you were a writer?
I'm still working on that. No, no, that's not true. How about a successful writer? That was because I've loved to put thoughts in writing for years, but to understand the mechanism, there was something to, once you see it in the book, like, wow, I really can do this. And I can do this and succeed at it and be with other very accomplished people. So that's part of what I think St. Louis Publishers Association really does, is it helps you see the bigger picture and then learn some of the mechanics as well.
Why do you think this memory has stayed so vivid across the years for you?
What a great question. I don't know. A couple reasons. One is, I think, just as a tribute to my father, who's been gone now for over 10 years, but it was such a magic moment in the family because we were such avid Cardinal fans. But even in the work I do, as a social worker, it was always helping kids find the treasures in their stories. You know, oftentimes we work with kids around the trauma and the heartache, but there's treasures, and those treasures might be something a teacher did, which both of you would understand as teachers, or it might just be a passing moment. But I love that stories help you dig your roots deeper. They help you know a little bit more who you are. So,
when did you begin to understand the sacrifice behind your father's decision?
oh my gosh, what a great question. I don't think till I was a parent, truthfully. I mean, at the time, because I'm sure my dad too had to go to work the next day and did all that. But I don't know if we ever fully conveyed to him how great that memory was of what he did for us. You know, I don't think in the book, it'll tell you about how the Cardinals didn't win that day and how it didn't really matter to us as kids. We were there with our gloves and we were there with something our father had done for us. And so it really does become a parent to think, look what he pulled off. Look what he did, you know.
Why do you think this was such a good story to add to the anthology?
I think it's because there's a universal theme in it. It's like something that a family does. It's around sports. But even if you're not a sports person, what's a treasure in your family? Or what's something where it was the unusual? Because I think in families, it needs to be about the experience, not about just being given things. And so everybody has had their own experiences. And what can you look at that helps form who you are, whether the experiences are what was going on in the country in the 60s or what was going on in families. Experience is so important.
What family experience would you add to this story?
To Mary Pat's story?
No, to the
Oh,
anthology.
to the end. What would I add?
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good question, too. If I'm looking backwards,
Well.
and that, you know, I mean, if that's what we're doing, then I think I would probably add some about my high school experiences, because things that I experienced at a large urban high school are things that many people would identify with. And of course, if it's in St. Louis, there would be many who would identify with Cleveland High School, where I went. And of course, then it would be Roosevelt and Soldan and Southwest, all the ones that were our rivals in football and sports. They would all identify with that. But it would be a matter of, you know, of things that bring people that help make connections. And that's what this was kind of all about. It was making connections over a wide range of voices. So
How about you, Kimberly?
I would bring my experiences with my family going to the Muni and sitting in the free seats. It was just being exposed to something that I may not have been exposed to had my, grandparents made us go to things, and I liked it once I got there, of course. So I think that has inspired me to be like a tourist in my own city. But I would bring more celebrations of family, like Mary Pat has.
Now, Jolene, did you add a story to this book?
Yes, I wrote the foreword.
Oh, no, I want a story, not the foreword.
I wrote the foreword, and it had a story in it.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
It did.
I did.
Yeah, that's right. It did. I'm sorry.
So I
My
talked
mistake.
about my first day of coming to St. Louis and meeting a neighbor. And I talked about living in Laclede, which at the time was a mixed use community. And my stepfather had graduated from law school. He met my mom. I didn't tell this part, but he met my mom while he was in law school and she was working at law school at Drake University in Des Moines. And so we came to St. Louis. And so how Laclede Town really shaped me because once we moved out, I used to go down there and hang out and I met some boys and things like that. Then I got my first job at Ponderosa. So I talk about that. There's even a picture of me on my first day of work and just how times have changed and how interests have changed. And my favorite role, jobs and everything was being Pep Club president at Riverview Gardens High School. I was voted most spirited. And
well deserved.
Exactly. And so it's kind of interesting because I learned how to do photography. I was on the yearbook photography staff. And so I did contribute pictures to this book. So I feel like this is kind of a full circle moment. And when you say, what can people add? We only had 1,500 words. So people were taking away. And so I think it was just the right amount. It's kind of a long book. It's not too long, but it's just the right amount. I think if it had been longer, people would have gotten bored. And for the stories that people might be like, oh, this isn't really my jam, I think they still enjoyed them because they got a chance to read them. So I'm very proud about that, representing the St. Louis Publishers Association.
Are you thinking about doing a sequel?
No.
Why?
Great question.
Because actually I could see.
No, ma'am. Let me interrupt you right here.
I could see a sequel.
Carrie Holloway is our board secretary now. Then Michael is in. She does special events, and she's also an editor by profession.
Mm-hmm.
Carrie is awesome, and this ended up being Carrie and I's baby, even though I've never given birth to a child. Okay. And at first we thought, oh, we can do this, and we can do this every year. So as we were in the midst of it, and then we're like, no, we can't do this every year. Maybe we can do it every other year. And then we're like, no, if they want to do it in 5 years, I'm not going to be president. You're not going to be secretary. They can do it. And I'm going to tell you, and I'm serious and I'm joking, but I am serious because it was a lot of work.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I did an anthology with the SEMO Writers Guild.
Mm-hmm.
It is a lot of work.
Yeah.
There is no question that it is a lot of work.
Yeah.
However,
Mm-hmm.
in spite of that,
Mm-hmm.
I could see a sequel to this in with a different focus.
And so I'll tell you one of the other reasons.
And it doesn't have to be every year.
One of the other reasons we're not doing it is because we're not a writers organization. You have the Missouri Writers Guild and you have the St. Louis Writers Guild.
Okay.
They learn to write and develop their skills. And if they want to publish in newspapers or magazines
I
or
see
write
your
books,
point.
they can do that. And I'll read what ours. The St. Louis Publishers Association is a nonprofit membership organization that empowers authors and independent publishers to publish, promote, and sell more books.
Right.
So our focus, that's why I'm saying this is very unique.
Mhm.
And this ended up being a great opportunity for those who wanted to actually get in and do the work. Now, they didn't have to do all the work. We did a lot of the work, but we did engage them and they learned a lot about publishing, what to do, what not to do. And it was way more than I ever anticipated just because you have so many people.
Right.
And there are people who submitted and they were not chosen. And then there were people who submitted and, Coach Joe instead of Jolena Johnson president called. And I was like, hey, we like this story. And, what if you do such and such to help a little bit? And some people were very receptive to that. And some people weren't very receptive. So it was an experience. So because I do this as my profession and my job and I get paid to coach, to book shepherd, to publish, this was definitely a labor of love, one that I feel so proud about.
Oh, yeah.
But one that I would not do again like this. I've learned a lot. I'm going to do another anthology. I'll probably be back, but I'm going to do another anthology, but not quite in the same manner.
Okay.
But not with the St. Louis Publishers Association. So if whoever's going to be the president in 5 years, we are recruiting people to be members of our board. It is a voluntary position. We have all types of opportunities. And
The problem is you have to live in St. Louis.
yes, you do. Because we have meetings at the Heights in Richmond Heights Community Center on Dale Avenue. We have monthly meetings on the second Wednesday of the month. Doors open at 6:30, starts at 7, and people can come in person and learn what we're doing. And we need people hands-on because, people come to the meetings.
Understand.
Mhm.
Absolutely. What was the most challenging part of bringing together so many different voices?
Just sifting through, once we saw all I remember I was traveling to a family reunion in Tennessee, writing while I was reading all of the stories, and I read them on the drive. And after I read them, they had already been judged by the judges. So we had judges, and then I read all the stories. And then after the judges gave their judging, after the judges gave their judging, I had to be the tiebreaker. Nobody knows this is the first time in public. So if there was a tiebreaker, I had to be the tiebreaker. And then I had to look at them and see, what are they saying? Why are they saying this? And then Carrie had to do a little editing because, you have different, and then we had to decide, what is this about? And then we had to come up with themes. So none of this existed. So we had to, there are 7 portions to the book. So people don't understand, well, now we had to group these stories and say, well, how do they go together? And that's how, so youthful expressions, I think, was you all's. And then Mike, I can't remember what section you were in. Let me see here. Through the Looking Glass. So we had section 1 was earnest resilience. Section 2, discovery through travel. Section 3, through the looking glass. Section 4, turning points. Section 5, creative tales. Section 6, changing times. And section 7, youthful impressions. So that took a lot of work and collaboration with Carrie and I to sit down and say, what are these stories really about? And then we ended up asking some people for more pictures because we're like, hey, if you're part of this, now that we see, now it's unfolded, can you give us another picture maybe? So I think Kim had one when she either around the time, was it your graduation picture? Or around the time she was in high school, and 16 or so. So it was really good too with the pictures because we saw when somebody was in the 60s or like Mary Pat, when those pictures, or somebody was in, like had my first job in 1986. So that Ponderosa uniform as opposed to maybe another uniform. So I just think it was wonderful. I feel honored to have done it, and it was a lot of work, and I don't regret any minute of it. I just know we learn things and we do things better every time we do them, hopefully.
Was there a piece that surprised you emotionally?
There was one that really touched me. Daniel O'Connor, let me see. Where is he? Daniel O'Connell. I actually wanted him to come on the show, but he's in Florida on vacation. And his piece was about his mother's typewriter. So I'll tell you a little bit about the story. And it touched me because his mother had passed. They had, I think, 7 children in the family. So they decided to do a lottery. She didn't have many material possessions. So he was waiting, and he chose number 7. And so he was waiting, and he had his eye on her typewriter. And he couldn't believe it. By the time his number was picked, he was able to get the typewriter. And so his story is about the typewriter and the history and what it meant to his mom, how she used it. And he correlated his story to other people who had been writers in their family. And it was just so touching. And I'm not sure how old Daniel is, but I'm pretty sure he's probably older than all of us. So in the room. So what I'm saying is it made me feel so good because I could tell he was having fond memories of his growing up and his mom and those things. So that really was heartfelt. There were a lot of things, but that one was the one that was really special.
What moment, was there a moment when you realized this book is really working?
Yes. After Carrie and I literally sat down and we put them in order, and we had the sections, and we put each one in the sections. We didn't have the rest of the pictures. We didn't have everything, but we were like, wow, this is really great. And then the pictures we didn't have, I took some of the pictures, we found some of the pictures, and I do want to acknowledge the cover above, what is it called? St. Louis Above. His name is Justin, and he took the pictures that we used in the cover. St. Louis from Above, Justin Barr, stlouisfromabove.com. I was looking for pictures that represented St. Louis, and these are all his pictures that he gave us as a nonprofit organization to use for the cover. And so once I had the cover photos, I said, oh my gosh. And we wanted it to be red, basically cardinals. And so there's a blend of red here. And so it wasn't a book yet. It was just the papers. And Carrie and I were just elated. Like, I can feel it now. And I said, people are going to love this.
They are.
And one of the stories you haven't read, real quick, one of the stories you haven't read is by Berchelle McGee. And it's the last story in the book. And it talks about her and her uncle running away from home. And it is so cute, and it is so funny, and it is so short. But it's like, I told her, I said, you need to write more of these stories because they are just amazing. Her and her uncle, who was like her same age, they were under 10 and they ran away from home. So
this has got to be adorable.
Yes.
It's got to be adorable.
Yes.
How did you balance first-time authors alongside award-winning authors without a hierarchy?
Because we didn't do it by hierarchy at all. We did it by subject and theme. And so once we saw what we had, Carrie did an excellent job of saying, what are the themes that are kind of tie in these things? And once we grouped them, she had some title, some subjects, and then we just perfected them together. So since I'm a publisher and she's an editor, we work together to do that. So it didn't have anything to do with that. Now, we did want to start off with a very strong story, and we did want to finish with a strong story. So Jeanette McDermott, who will be a guest on your show soon, she was a photojournalist who traveled around the world. So we started off with her story, which was very strong. And then we ended with Rochelle's story about the runaway. So I think those were great. And that was just because we wanted to start and end on strong notes. And then everything else, it had nothing to do with anything other than subject matter and us looking at what were the stories about and what made a natural path. And I think that's what people don't understand. When you're crafting a book, you want to think, what are you saying? Why are you saying it? What do the readers need to know? What makes a difference to the readers? Are you expressing it in a way that it's going to be meaningful, that they're going to care about? And so that's what we try to do with the order, with the themes, with the photos, with everything.
What do you hope the contributors learned about themselves through this process?
That they can be successful authors if they put in effort. Success is different for every person.
Yes.
So for some people, they bought 5 books and they have them on their shelves and they didn't do anything with them. For other people, like Kimberly, they bought a whole bunch of books and they've been selling them. And she was like, "Oh, I sold this book, or I gave it away." I'm like, "Why are you giving it away?" "I just feel bad about selling it." I was like, "If you don't sell this book," and I mean, I've heard it 100 times before, it's hard to sell a book. Buy my book. It's very difficult. But when you realize this is a book can be something that's going to enhance someone's life, then they really don't mind investing in it.
No, they don't.
So I think that's what they learned. I think they learned what being an author is and what it isn't. And some people will say, "This is for me." And then some others say, "This was great and I never have to do it again."
Right.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
I think the book signing added to that, though. When you gathered all the authors the one night.
You know what? And that was amazing. So out of the 29 authors we had, there was one who was missing because she had to be out of town. So we had 28, and I'm really not an author, but I did contribute a story. So out of the 29 of us who contributed, 28 people were there to sign books. So if
That's
anybody was
wonderful.
there, they were able to get those books signed. We sold hundreds and hundreds of books that night.
Mhm.
People had families there. It was so exciting. I mean, we had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time. You were going to say something?
And I felt like a star as a first time author having a book signing. I mean,
Yes.
my goodness, it was amazing.
Yeah, so they were set up all around the perimeter of the room. I mean, it was the energy was amazing. And I think people were so shocked because, people do anthologies all the time and people pay to be in an anthology. That's not what this was. Okay. So this wasn't about let me sell you some more real estate. Let me do my speaker business. No, we wanted meaningful things that would make a difference to people. And so that somebody could go 30 years from now and say, "Wow, this is something SLPA did." And that, to me, this is part of my legacy as president.
That's wonderful. What would you like to add, Kim?
I would like to add that just like giving birth, you forget how painful the process was. And that's why you do it again, Jolena.
You have never given birth.
Well, that's what I hear.
That
So the sequel.
That was smooth. Very smooth. Very smooth.
No, but seriously, I just would say that if there are any first-time authors or people that believe they have a book in them, just begin writing.
Mm-hmm.
Come join us at St. Louis Publishers Association as a first-timer. I'm just blown away and amazed at what we were able to do and all of the valuable resources that I've gained being around all of these seasoned authors.
How about you, Michael? What would you like to add?
I think that we should do another book next year. No,
I do too.
Wow.
that was
You're
not
getting
subtle.
pressure there, Jolena.
You can book a session.
No, I think that this experience was something, again, I mentioned it before, something that I wanted to see, something similar to this. Now, that we would end up with a book like this, an anthology like this, was beyond what I envisioned. But I envisioned other things, like having groups that would work on different things, different stages of the writing and publishing process and what was involved in that. But overall, again, St. Louis Publishers Association, I have learned a lot from them. And I enjoyed being able to participate on the board for however many years I was on there. And I've enjoyed, like last June, I mentioned that I did a workshop that was part of this that helped.
And I understand you're
develop
doing
this.
another one, right?
Yes, and then our next monthly meeting, I'll be the speaker there, and boy, will Jolena like it, because she mentioned about knowing who you're writing for and pulling people in and stuff. Yeah, that's going to be part of it. So yes.
Good. How about you, Mary Pat?
Well, about me for what? I'm going to.
Last words.
Okay. Well, one of the things I've really appreciated about the St. Louis Publishers is they hone on specific areas each time. So how are you doing your marketing? So where you focus on that, or focus on how's your target audience. And I think it really helps refine your craft as a writer to learn those pieces of the process. I think that's been a really important part. And I've appreciated that St. Louis Publishers guide you in that direction. So I understand, I think from the outside, how much work it is with the anthology. I too wish we could do another one. And I think Jolena makes sense when she said, we're about the publishing. You know, I get that on the ego part, would you say? But my heart says, oh, there's so much more, because in the end, in this book, it does convey sort of the pride and the depth of St. Louis. I mean, there's no question St. Louis has had struggles as well.
Well, every town does.
Exactly. But there's a pride here. It's our city, it's our family, it's our home. And so I think that comes through in the book, the pride we have about our city.
Yeah, I understand that completely. Again, where can we buy it?
You can get Tales of the 314, Gateway Moments and First Impressions, an anthology from the St. Louis Publishers Association at the Missouri History Museum. The book features 28 featured authors. And if you know any of those authors, you can also hit them up. They have books too. And our organization, our website is stlouispublishers.org. And we do have meetings every second Wednesday of the month.
And the meetings are located where?
Yes, at the Heights, the Richmond Heights Community Center on Dale Avenue, off of 6440 in Hanley.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And before we go, there's something you won't want to miss coming up next on Author's Edge. We will be sitting down with Diane Howe, author of The Dollinger Sisters, a powerful, moving story about family, resilience, and the bonds that shape who we become. Until then, thank you for spending this hour with us on Author's Edge. Keep reading, keep creating, and we will see you around the inkwell. Bada boom, bada bay.